Hi there, I'm Amelia Ruby, and this is my tiny tarot practice. Today's card is the Nine of Wands. In the Rider-Waite-Smith version of the tarot, the Nine of Wands features a person who is in a tunic and looks like a bandage on their head and holding a wand in front of them. And behind them, there are 8 more wands that make a wall, it looks like, between them and then the hilly landscape beyond. And they're looking back over their shoulder toward that wall of wands. And they're kind of hunched, like their shoulders are tensed up or up at their ears almost, and they look suspicious, I would say. It's amazing how much I can draw just from this simple line drawing or what I can interpret. But this figure looks like they're holding on to their wand in front and looking behind them and just waiting for the next battle or battler or struggle to come. And this card is often interpreted from what I've read as a card of defensiveness or of boundaries. Some people interpret those boundaries as positive. Some people interpret those boundaries as negative. And I don't really think we can know. The same way we can't know if other people in our lives' boundaries are positive or negative. Often they're both, right? We often create boundaries from our own experiences of pain or harm or trauma even. And we put the boundary up to protect and heal ourselves. You know, this figure in the card has a bandage on their head. I think that suggests some degree of healing or of an attempt to heal from an injury or a wound. And who are we to judge the boundary, right? Who are we to judge this wall of wands that they've put up between them and the world? When I create boundaries in my own life, I have done it in ways that have been beautiful and nourishing and healed me. I've done it in ways that became rigid and harmed me even. But I think this is a moment of creating a boundary. I've said that before for other cards in the wands. And I think that's because with the wands, so often it's interpreted, the fieriness of the wands, we interpret these as conflict. The wands are about conflict in some senses. They invite conflict or they portend conflict or they just recognize the conflict that occurs in our lives. I think of that book, Conflict is Not Abuse. Conflict doesn't have to be a bad thing. And boundaries don't have to be a bad or a good thing. They can be a practice for our own healing. And we can spend as much or as little time with them. We can put them up for as long or as short as we like. They can be as rigid or as flexible as we desire or as they need to be. And there are definitely moments where we have to do that. There are moments, as much as I would love for our lives to be like the Empress in the garden at all times, just like flowy and fluid and relaxed, there are plenty of moments where we need to be a little tense and prepared for what's coming next. And I think that the Nine of Wands is kind of that moment where maybe you've just gone through something and you're looking back to make sure it's not still happening or coming, or you can feel that something is coming. And so you've put your boundary up and be like, okay, I'm ready for this. I can protect myself no matter what we're going through. And I think that's where I'll leave it with the Nine of Wands today. Thank you so much for tuning in to my tiny tarot practice. Again, I'm Amelia Ruby, and I love creating this podcast for you where I explore the tarot card by card, beginning with the suits of the minor arcana, and eventually we'll head into the majors. New episodes come out on Mondays and Thursdays. Next, we'll be exploring the Ten of Wands and then the court cards. And then we'll move into a new suit. As always, if you've enjoyed any of the resources I mention in these episodes, you can find them in my bookshop link in the show notes. And if you make a purchase through that link, I'll receive a small affiliate payment that helps me make this podcast an ongoing project. Thanks so much for listening. I hope that you have a wonderful day.